What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Music with Mike. Today, I want to talk about basic harmony and how you can apply it to your music. So, first, what is harmony? When it comes to music, harmony refers to the relationship between two different pitches. We can think of melody as being the horizontal aspect of music, where we would read it from left to right like we would a book. This would make harmony the vertical aspect of music, like stacking the notes on top of one another. Harmony occurs when we hear multiple pitches at the same time. So now that we know what harmony is, why do we use it? Harmony is used to create interest and cover a larger portion of the frequency spectrum. It's used to create emotion, add character, and let the listener know how they're supposed to feel. It's what's going to make us feel excited, joyous, scared, or sad. For example, do these notes scare you? Probably not, but how about these? That may have done the trick. So, let's dive into Ableton and get a little bit more in depth with some examples. Alright, so here we have a really simple little pop melody, and down here I have the bass line, so we can hear what the melody and the bass line will sound like. Let's give this a quick listen. Alright, that sounds pretty cool, but let's go ahead and add some harmony to that. Alright, now it sounds much cooler. Okay, now before we move on to how to pick notes, I kind of want to take a moment to talk about consonance and dissonance.
So here we have an example of a melody with a consonant harmony. All of the notes that accompany this melody are going to sound, for lack of a better term, pretty, in place, complete. They're not going to make you uneasy. It's going to feel peaceful. So let's give this a listen.
Okay, so that was an example of a completely consonant harmony. At no point were any of the notes really dissonant or made us feel uneasy. However, this is an example of the same melody we just listened to, and I added a slight dissonance here at the end, where this note here is going to hold into that final chord to create tension and then resolve itself. So let's give this a listen and pay close attention to the ending here. Something to keep in mind if you're going to try to use dissonance and resolve to consonance like I did here is that when you're using multiple notes in your harmony, you want to make sure that if you are using, for example, this A flat here to create tension, that you're not also using the G that it resolves to at the same time, maybe somewhere down here or above it. So make sure that if you're going to suspend this note and create that tension, that you're not also playing the resolution at the same time. So now that we've talked about the purpose of harmony and given a few examples of how it can be used, I want to give you a few tips about how to select which notes to use and when to use them. Now, before I give you these tips, I want you to remember this. Different genres use harmony differently. For example, in your typical concert choir, you may have as few as 4 notes in a stack or as many as 10, depending on how many people you have singing. If you are in a jazz band, you could just stack notes till the cows come home and call it jazz. If you're in a punk or rock band, you may have 2 guitars, one playing a melody and one playing the harmony, or you could have a lead singer singing the melody and just one backup singer singing the harmony. It all depends on what the songwriter or composer wants and what the genre calls for. Okay, so let's dive back into Ableton here. Now, since you're looking up how to write harmonies, my guess is you know how to write melodies. So here I've written a simple melody in the key of C major. I've written out a bass line in C major. We've got C, F, G, A, F, and G. So since I know this is in C major, I know this is going to be a C major chord. This is going to be F major, G major, A will be minor, then F major, G major. Now let's give this a quick listen. Very, very simple, very, very slow moving melody. So, what can we do to this melody to add interest or emotion? How do we pick which notes to use and when? Since we know which chords are playing at any given time, like here we're going to have a C major chord, F major, G major, A minor, we can kind of pick a note from this chord. So, in this case, C major is made of C, E, and G, and choose one of the notes that isn't playing in the melody at the same time. So in our melody, we have E, then C, then G. So we can put a C here or a G here, or we can even go above, put a G here or a C here. When the C is playing, we can make it a G, we can make it an E, and so on and so forth. So when we do this, we want to keep a few things in mind. Number one, try to resist always adding harmony during a moving line. So if you have a melody that has a lot of notes moving quickly in succession, you don't have to harmonize every note. You could have one note harmonized under it that sustains, or you could just let the melody play on its own with no harmony at all. Number two, do your best to keep your harmony notes close together as they move, kind of like the melody. If your notes in the harmony are leaping all over the place, it can sound really awkward, messy, cluttered. It's not that pleasant. Number three, listen closely and listen critically. If you hear something and it sounds goofy or off, it probably is. A lot of writing harmony is trial and error, so don't feel discouraged if you choose a note and it sounds bad. Just change the note. So here, back in Ableton, I have the same melody we just used in our last example, and I harmonized it, and I completely ignored all of the advice I just gave. Let's give this a listen. Okay, technically, everything's consonant. Technically, everything looks okay, but look at how the notes are leaping all over the place in the harmony. They're random, they're not close together, they're not really one cohesive line the way the melody is. You know, the melodies can have a little bit of a leap here and there, but realistically, we don't want them to go too far because that can be kind of jarring to the ear. I also harmonized every single note here. Every time the melody plays a new note, the harmony plays a new note. That's also not necessary. So here, I've written a harmony that's much more cohesive. It doesn't jump around. It's not changing with every note. Notice that these eighth notes here and here, I didn't bother to add any harmony to it. You could potentially just let this continue on like that, but I chose not to. Let's give this a listen and see if it's more pleasing than the other version. Sounds much better in my opinion. And you'll see here, while these lines are moving, the harmony is staying sustained. So we have F playing here, and we've got our A holding here. That's a part of our F major chord, F, A, C. Same here, we've got our G playing, and we have our B holding here, and that's totally okay to do. Remember, your melody and your harmony don't have to move with each other all the time. So this concludes my really, really, really basic explanation of harmony. I just wanted to give a few examples, a few quick tips. There's so much more to this than what's in this video. If you're interested in hearing more about harmony and how you can use it in your music, let me know in the comments. If you have any questions about anything I talked about in this video, leave it in the comments. And while you're down there, please like and subscribe. And until next time.